Hello, Team Basecamp. Hey, Coach Tim here with a little bit of a toolbox on your upcoming FTP test this Saturday. I have the workout open. Now, remember, do not load this workout. Do not do this workout in erg mode. If you're doing this on Zwift, do the long Zwift test. Now, in your first test of the season, we really didn't give you a lot of guidance on the proper way to develop your skills of doing any longer steady state effort, of which an FTP test is just one example. A time trial, a race winning long move, a longer climb. We really need to develop this skill if we want to build performance. There's a two-step process for building this skill. First, we need to use appropriate power-based pacing to learn to feel like how hard, how much this hurts and everything, but to learn to feel what it should feel like. But then when we get good at hitting our power-based pacing, we want to improve that by feeling our way to even more watts. And we're going to teach both phases of that, but this is about finding and executing the right power-based pacing so that you can learn those feelings, which will improve upon later. So now, when you're executing your 20 minutes, and attached below in this post, and I'll put it on Facebook, we'll send it out, there is a 2024 Power Pacer, a document, and it's a sheet. And actually, this sheet will walk you through the calculations, and it's breaking it down into phases of your 20-minute test, which I'm about to go to. So basically, all you need to do when you see this sheet, you will not be able to edit the master. You must make a copy. And then in your copy, like you can see, I named mine my initials. You can take that away. Take a look. The first step is you need to enter your power target. So take a look at your last test. So let's say this is athlete Joe or Jane Ryder, and Ryder here has done, their last test was 240 watts. So if it was 240 watts last test, I'm going to increase that to 250 watts. I'm looking for a 10-watt gain. Now you have to judge how your training is going, how you're feeling, what's happening. Like I say, you missed most of your training, you might not look for any gain. That's a reality, maybe even a little loss. If you've really nailed your training or you have a higher FTP, maybe it's 15 watts, right? You have to make the targeting judgment. We can't do that for you. Once you enter your 20-minute test, it'll give you insight into the resulting FTP. But more specifically, what it's going to do, it's going to target the key 5 phases of your FTP test. So first I'm going to go through the phases, and then we'll talk about the numbers. The first and potentially the most important phase is the start phase, the first 1 to 3 minutes. No matter what happens, whether you're in a big state time trial or something like that, or just doing an FTP test, you have higher levels of adrenaline in your system. You have anxiety, hopefully positive anxiety. You're anxious, you want to get after it, you're ready to go, right? Or maybe even you're a little more nervous, but you're full of adrenaline. The first 1 to 3 minutes, I got news for you, is always going to feel great. You're going to feel great because of that adrenaline, but it typically wears off in about 2 minutes. And that's when often, think about it, you start too hard, and about 2 minutes in, you start going, uh-oh, I'm going too hard. What changed? Like those first 2 minutes, you're like, I'm going to crush this. It's going to be great. I'm flying. And then about 2.5 minutes in, you're like, wow, I'm running out of energy already. I'm going to fail, right? That's because you're burning through that adrenaline and you started too hard. Phase one, that first 1 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes is really the real target. Control is the goal. Don't blow numbers out of the water in the start, because you're going to burn through the adrenaline. You're going to start too hard. You're going to create too much lactate, too much acidity, too much fatigue in the system early. Just take it controlled, not easy, controlled in the first 1 to 3 minutes. As you push past that 2.5 minute mark, the second phase, here you come up to speed. Here you're like, okay, I've got the adrenaline out of the system. I want to feel my way forward. I can increase the watts. And we have guidelines for that. Again, I'm going to go over the numbers in a moment, but minute 4 or 5, that's where you find your pacing. Burn the adrenaline first, get through that easier start. Now find, this is my sustained feelings. Like I'm targeting a power number, but yes, I feel like I can sustain this. If you don't feel like you can sustain it, go to the lower side. If after a minute of coming up to speed, you're like, man, I got more, go a little higher. Don't be limited by the numbers, just use them as general targets. Now, as you move into 5 to 12 minutes, this is an important phase. This is what I call the cruise phase. In the cruise phase, you need to relax into your power. You're not suffering too bad. Don't get me wrong, you're not smiling and happy and fun, but it's not suffering too bad. You need to work hard at relaxing into your power. Body tension, overly tense movements, too much movement on the bike, that's all burning unnecessary energy. Relax. Excellent deep breathing here. Gear 2 breathing should get you through this phase very, very well. Keep that strong, well controlled. As you move into the third phase, about 12 to 17 minutes, here's where most people mentally wander. Like, this is where you need to focus the most on making watts, getting down the course, getting from where you are now to, X amount of miles or kilometers down the course. Because what starts happening here is the voices in your head start saying, you're not going to make it. This is really hard. What am I doing? Why didn't I play golf instead of taking up cycling, right? All those voices. And what happens is those voices take you into the future. And what I mean by they take you into the future, they start making you think one of the things I just said, I'm not going to finish. I'm going to fail. I won't win this. I won't succeed, right? Don't let the voices take you into the future. Stay present in the moment. You're strong and you're going to finish strong. And you just need to stay focused at the task on hand. Once all those voices start going, power just drops down naturally because you're not focused on the job at hand. Stay in the moment, focus on the job at hand. And in the final 17 to 20 minutes, this is what's in here, right? This is heart. And this is where you're pushing. And you shouldn't have too much left. And you might not even see a spike up. As a matter of fact, if you get it perfectly right, you're not seeing a spike up. But you are driving for every single watt because you want the best test possible. Now, in this pacer, we've given some advice about the challenge of each phase, what to do, but most of which I just gave you, but you can read it. My advice to you, your homework, enter your numbers with your target, print this out, maybe make it bigger and print it out, and put it close to your screen. Break down your FTP tests into each one of these segments. Don't make the numbers absolute. Make them a good target. But if you're feeling really good, go a little higher, not in the first 1 to 3 minutes. Take that chill, right? If you're struggling, it's okay. Be a little lower. Now, what you'll see is for each phase, there's a power range. It's not one number. You're not going to be able to just nail one, right? So if you're good, feeling good, think you're going to be able to sustain, push towards the higher numbers, or maybe even a little more. If you're just struggling, having a bad day, it's okay to be at the lower number or maybe even a little less. Just use the numbers you see here as a guideline. Excellent. Hope that helps. Ask questions if you have them below. Thanks, everybody.